Hey there, it's Jim and Debbie with another episode of the Midday Minute. Debbie, I feel like there should be more fanfare because this is our 50th episode.
50th, can you believe it?
I can't. They've really piled up, but this one catching me a little by surprise because I am just returned from our annual budget meeting. My first really trip anywhere since the budget meeting last year, because obviously due to COVID. So it was a little weird getting out and about for the first time. But it was a nice trip and nothing but good news to report. But before we get to that, we have a contest winner to announce.
We do. The winner of the episode 49 comment contest winner is BPOE number 1181, the Bremerton, Washington Lodge.
So the whole lodge wins a $50 soft credit. Nice work, Bremerton.
Congratulations, Bremerton.
Yeah. Tell us in the comments below how you would like us to apply that soft credit, or send an email to enf@elks.org. And we will do that for you. So thanks for watching the show too.
Absolutely.
I like to picture that they're all together in the lodge room. Probably not though, due to COVID.
Right.
They were all together, but separately watching, perhaps.
They're being safe, COVID safe.
All right. So let's just get right to the budget meeting. I mean, I think the big news for the upcoming year is that we are anticipating, not necessarily on April 1st, or certainly not on April 1st, but we are anticipating a return to normalcy in fiscal year 2022. So that's mostly the story with the budget, is that a lot of the things that we thought we were going to be able to do this current year, we expect to be able to do next year. So, I mean, there's a few new shiny things in that budget, but for the most part, it's what we thought we were going to be doing this year.
Right, right. And we talked about last episode, we talked about the community investments program, right? And that we're not going to jump all in on April 1st, but we are going to jump in April 1st with the gratitude grant, which is exactly what we did last year, you know.
Right.
It's the one grant that can be used, has always been able to be used for a donation. So we feel like that's a good place to start. And we've got our eye on it, you know, probably June 1st for the Spotlight grant and the Beacon grant. So that is something that basically is staying the same from the changes that we made, the big pivots that we had to make to the community investments program in for fiscal year 2021.
So the gratitude grant is staying the same.
The gratitude grants are staying the same. They're launching on, like I said, April 1st.
Right.
We're updating one of the bonuses to the gratitude grant,
so,
$500 bonuses.
Again, we'll have two $500 bonuses in addition to the $2,000 base grant. Right. One of them is going to be the one we've had for the past few years, the membership support. If more than 15% of the members of your lodge donated to the foundation this year, then you will have an additional $500 tacked onto your gratitude grant for 2022. The second one, again, is going to be a Fidelity Club bonus, but we tweaked it a little bit for two reasons. Number one is explaining how it worked for this current year was difficult to do in a soundbite. You know, I had several conversations with people, you know, a trustee of our foundation calling up who was talking at one of the states and wanted to know how to explain it. I'm trying to work, you know, it was just a little confusing. And secondly is only about 50 lodges qualified for the bonus in the current year. Mm-hmm. And so we wanted to expand that. So we made it a little bit simpler to understand and to qualify for. And it's simply this: if this current year, if 5% of your donors are members of the Fidelity Club, you will have a $500 bonus tacked on to your gratitude grant.
So that's breaking news, Jim.
It is. It's breaking news. Now we will be working on in the next week or two some sort of report on our website so you can see where you are, because it's going to be based on, you know, just as with achieving the goal, just as with membership support, it's based on what you do this current year by March 31st.
Right.
So we want to make sure you have time to go out and do that if you're not already there. So that you'll be able to benefit from this $500 bonus next year. Now, I said only 50 lodges qualified in this current year. We anticipate, our budget expects that about 500 lodges will be able to achieve that benchmark next year. Now, 5% isn't coming out of the air. That's our goal for the Fidelity Club. Our goal is to get to 5% of our donor base in that club. It's really what we've been pushing, a lot of focus on that. And the best way to do that is just to apply that goal to the donors we have. So we understand that that might create some situations where one lodge has 100 donors and they need to get 5 of them. Another lodge has 2 donors. They need to get 1 of them.
Yeah.
We get that. But you have to understand that this is about helping us achieve our goal. And the only way to do that that makes sense is to apply that to the donors we have, not the donors we wish we had.
Right. Well, it's a great incentive. And so if the lodge meets the per member goal for giving this year, they'll qualify for a $2,000 grant. Then they
starts
also have,
there.
What's that?
It starts there. You have to make the goal.
Right.
This year is $4.80 per member.
That's right. And then you have, the lodge has 2 other opportunities to get an additional 500 or an additional 1,000. So 2,000, 2,500, or $3,000 gratitude grants.
Right, and it's not one or the other. You can apply for both. So if you achieve a gratitude grant, you can get between $2,000 and $3,000 for that grant, which will be available to your lodge on April 1st, assuming that you're in compliance.
Correct. And then spotlight grants and beacon grants will stay the same level as they were this year.
Right.
So $2,000 spotlight.
Right. And you said we're looking at June 1st, likely. Right. And we're trying to buy ourselves a little bit of time just to see if we need to continue with the more flexible guidelines or want to bring those back to the active projects they're intended to be.
That's right.
We're just giving ourselves 2 more months to make that decision, but we are committed to not delaying that rollout further like we did during the current year. It's, we're going to just, it's likely going to be June 1st. It could be July 1st, but when we roll out, it's going to be both of those components.
Right. And we're also very, very hopeful that there will be new impact grants this year as well. So everybody may recall, we pressed pause on those in 2021. We're very confident that we'll be releasing new impact grant funds this year for people to apply for the first with an impact intent. So that's also, we'll be rolling that information out there as the fiscal year goes on.
Promise grants, however, will not be back in 2022. That's not necessarily a forever decision. We just, again, think that that stance makes the most sense, given that it is very likely that we are going to have to roll forward with those more flexible guidelines to allow for passive projects with beacon grants and spotlight grants, again, in 2022. And in our opinion, it does not make sense to offer grants that are limited in quantity in an environment where we have to permit passive projects.
That's right. So that's kind of what's going to be happening with the Community Investments Program in a nutshell. What other exciting things?
Well, the state grants, we have a 2% increase to the grant pools. Now, that doesn't mean that your state is going to get 2% more this year than it got last year, because that's the grant pool, and those pools are allocated based on giving formulas. If you have questions about that, ask in the comments below, and we can share those formulas in response, or happy to email those formulas to you. But the state charities grant and the bonus grant are both look at prior giving, cumulative giving, prior year giving, and bequests in the prior year. And then the special projects grant is strictly based on cumulative giving. And the way that works is, your state's percentage relative to the other states multiplied by the grant. Okay.
That's big news. If
you love algebra, you'll really enjoy unpacking those formulas.
That's right. So, and
veteran service, they got a pretty large increase. It's one of the few large increases in this budget, went to veteran service specifically for their Welcome Home initiative, which will be entering year 7. Now, we've been supporting them since the ground floor, starting with a 4-year, $4 million commitment, which we then re-upped to about $5 million over 2 years. Now we're going year by year as we proceed. And the big news there is that the VA has asked the Elks to add 2 more cities to those. Wow. The cities that we are specifically targeting with elements of that program, the Emergency Assistance Fund. I forget off the top of my head which those 2 cities are. I'm sure there'll be an announcement.
Right.
But that means, in addition, more funding for emergency assistance in those metropolitan areas, again, which were selected by the VA because they have large homeless veteran populations. The emergency assistance is a program where veterans, usually it's a social worker with the VA who reaches out to us with the veteran who is either in danger of losing their housing or is trying to exit homelessness, needs a little bit of help. And they can get grants of up to $2,500 from that fund one time. And really just small, timely assistance like that can mean the difference from being housed and losing your housing.
Absolutely. I mean, we've talked so much about that with Mary, the director of Veteran Service, one of the best friends of the show, right? Throughout the years. And it really, I honestly think that's one of the most important things that we do.
I could not agree more. And I'm looking at my notes actually from the budget meeting.
So Welcome Home started with 8 target cities.
There are 8 currently, and they're going to expand by 2 in 2022. And the VA wants us to add 2 more for 2023. So there would be 12 cities by that point. And we have, the Emergency Assistance Fund has made the difference between having a home and not for more than 2,350 veterans since the program started.
That's remarkable.
In addition to emergency assistance, there are focus grants. The Veteran Service Commission awards has funding through us for up to focus grants of up to $10,000 for lodges in those metropolitan areas for projects specific, for impact grant style projects, specifically targeting these issues. So funding for that has to increase to accommodate the lodges in these new areas. And then for all the lodges that are participating in Welcome Home Kits, as we often say on the show, for most veterans who exit homelessness, exit with nothing. So they have a roof over their head now and 4 walls, but nothing else. And the Elks are trying to change that through Welcome Home Kits. The Veteran Service Commission provides reimbursement funding for lodges that provide kits that include, groceries and utensils and pots and pans and just
linens, towels, all the stuff you need.
Right, you get more funding for a bed, right? And the commission is increasing the funding available for lodges that choose to provide kits with beds. So I think it's currently 400 and it'll be 500. So all that amounts to about a $360,000 increase for that program.
Huge.
So that's big. Drug awareness program, again, it's there, this is, the news there is they hope to get back to normal. For this current year, they had, they increased their speaking tour so that there are now 2 speakers. But that second speaker, whose name is Heather DeBlasi, and she's based out of New Jersey, it's been slow to start because of what's happening, right? So we expect to get back, we expect to get that up and running in 2022 after, not having been able to do so for this current year.
So they, like all the things that we were doing, they were able to do some virtual workshops and presentations.
Their longtime speaker, Ray Lozano, has been able to do a transition directly to virtual programming. So the tour has been going on virtually, but it's the second speaker has not yet gotten up and running yet, and that should change in 2022.
Cool.
Big news on the Hoop Shoot front is the 2022 fiscal year marks the 50th anniversary of that program as a national program.
Yes, indeed.
And we expect the Hoop Shoot, it's been a rough 2 years, 2 seasons, right? Last year's season ended prematurely or was suspended.
Yeah.
And we're trying to finish that up virtually now. And then the 2021 season, this current season, is truncated, right? It ends at the district level or the state level in states that think that they can have a state contest safely. But we are bouncing back.
We're bouncing back. I was hoping you were going to say it.
All systems go. We are planning for a blowout national finals in April 30th, 2022.
Great.
And the exciting news there is we have signed a contract with Wintrust Arena, which is a brand spanking new facility built in completed in 2017. It is the basketball home of the DePaul Blue Demons men's and women's basketball team, and also the Chicago Sky of the WNBA play there. State-of-the-art facility, 10,000 seats, beautiful. And
it's very, very nice. Very nice.
couple of years ago, our national finals were at Loyola. And for those of us who have been around the program for a long time, when we walked onto that floor and we saw the Hoop Shoot branding on all the video boards, you know, on the LED displays, and it just was like, it just filled all of us with such pride, right?
Yes.
And that feeling that that you and I both shared, and all the other people around us, is going to be magnified when we walk into Wintrust and see it there. You know, it's going to be big time.
It's going to be big time. And it's obviously so befitting of the program's golden anniversary. And I think it's probably going to be, when we put the leadership weekend for MBS aside, it'll be our biggest in-person event since 2019.
Likely, yeah.
For us.
Yeah, right. So that's exciting. We're moving to a new hotel, the Hilton Chicago. I was talking to somebody while in Florida, to Bob Grafton actually, and he was asking me where it was, and he's like, the Hilton, is that anywhere near the old Hilton? I said, I'm pretty sure it is the old Hilton.
It is.
It's, you know, a historic location right downtown on Michigan Avenue, walking distance to the Art Institute, to, you know, Buckingham Fountain, to the park. The museum campus is not far. It's only a 10-minute bus ride from the arena,
right.
Or a very long walk even.
Yeah, it's such a gorgeous hotel. And I believe it's one of the oldest, and I think it's the biggest. Now, Kate can correct us in the comments, but I do believe it's one of the largest hotels we have in Chicago.
If you remember the movie The Fugitive from the 1980s or 90s, whenever that was, I think that movie starts with a chase scene at some event, and that's where it is. It's at the Hilton. It's got the lavish event space, and our 3 events at the hotel are going to be in 3 different rooms, all of them large, beautiful. You know,
and it also gives us the opportunity, if, you know, social distancing is still a thing and we need to kind of space out a little more. I don't know if it will be, but we're going to have the space to do that, both at the arena and at the hotel. That's
true. And, you know, but our expectation is, our hope is that we won't have to, it'll be sort of back to normal, that the people have vaccinations at that point, it'll be opened up and people will be, you know, feeling more normal again. Sure. Either way, the space is large enough that we won't need to turn people away as we've had to in the past. You know, we've only had more demand for our events, the banquets, than we've had space to accommodate people. That won't be the case. And you know what? It would really be nice if we had an actual crowd at the finals. I said it's 10,000 seats, but even if we had 1,000, 2,000, you know, 2,500, 3,000 people, 5,000 people coming out for that, it would be awesome.
It would be spectacular, and we'd be able to seat them comfortably.
Yes, we would. We already covered the SIP, so that's pretty much it on the scholarships. You know, again, we're hoping to get back to 3 service trips in 2022. At the same time, we are expanding our capabilities to provide virtual programming, virtual engagement opportunities. Even if we get back to normal quickly, that's still a way to reach even more kids. You know, up to 20 kids students can attend these service trips. We can reach more people virtually. So we're going to try to do things like, structured sessions with speakers and all sorts of things to, engage even more students. One of our goals with scholarship program is we're trying to create champions of the order. We're trying to extend the relationship and build a network of scholars. And that's what that's all about.
That's kind of the big, as a silver lining of what happened to us in the pandemic with the need to move to everything virtual, is we've learned so much, and we're going to continue doing that, both with the Hoop Shoot, with our engagement through the service scorecard and Hoop Shooting the Breeze. The same thing with scholarship programs. We are doing virtual programming. That's not going to ease up. We're going to continue to do that. We're starting a mentor program, and there's an incubation lab happening, and where scholars are coming together to talk various ideas. So we're going to keep all of that going. But as you said, also on the top of my list with the scholarship programs is that we'll be able to return to 3 in-person service trips starting hopefully in July.
Right, and we expect to be able to do the in-person leadership weekend after wrapping up last year and this year with a virtual interview component. And yeah, the scholarship should be just the beginning of the relationship. And we've been really focused the past 12 years on changing that, or extending that, making sure that that was the beginning of the relationship with our Elks scholars, not the end of it.
Great. We're going to keep that going.
Now, one program where funding is actually decreasing is the emergency educational program. And that's specifically for children of deceased or totally disabled Elks. And of all our programs, that's the one that you want to see decreasing, right, if it means that there just aren't candidates for it. There aren't survivors left behind by an elk who died tragically or who became disabled and unable to work. But it would be a tragedy if there are students out there who could benefit from this program but don't know about it. We do not have the capability to identify who these people are. We don't have a flag in CLMS that can alert us that there are survivors left behind, or there are children of Elks who could benefit from this program. What it takes is you at your local lodge being aware of what's going on with your fellow lodge members, and when tragedy strikes, it's up to you to talk to that family and say, there is this program. Your child can get up to $5,000 a year for up to 4 years to help them with college.
Right. Actually, that just happened. The last emergency educational grant we issued this year happened last week to a young woman who lost both of her parents within the last 6 months. And so the lodges who brought her to us to say, you're eligible for this.
Right.
And, so we awarded 25 in 2021, 25 emergency educational grants, and every single one of them, needed their Elks family to step up and help support their education. So.
Right. Once a family becomes aware of it and they have subsequent children, they're already in that pipeline, didn't know about it, but it's someone who don't know. And it's for families dealing with some sort of tragic loss like that, or a loss that happened in the past even, right? It doesn't have to be recent.
Right.
It's the last thing on their mind. They're not thinking about this. They don't know about it, maybe. It really takes us looking out for one another, fulfilling our obligation, really. If we're in a situation where we have more requests for those funds than we have funding in the budget, we will go find more money for this. It's not a problem. We want to make sure. The problem is knowing that there might be students out there who could benefit from this program, but just don't know about
it.
Right. On the administrative and fundraising side, again, we hope to get back to normal programming. That's all just like our program services. That's taken a hit this year. All told, the budget that we approved last Thursday is for $39.8 million, which is a record high for us. Current year, we're at 38.5 million. 38.6 million. So 39.8 million, of which only, I believe it is, I'm looking right now, 6.2% is for our fundamental expenses. That's administrative and fundraising expenses. Now,
that's
the standard,
about lower than 35%.
Right, that's the standard. Better Business Bureau standard for charities is no more than 35% on fundamental expenses. We're at 6.2. The rest of it is all program services.
That should make all of our donors feel incredibly good about supporting the Elks National Foundation.
Yeah, it's a great investment, and we will continue to put those donations to good use. That's it. I'm glad to be back from Florida with good news, and I am quarantining until the 23rd per Chicago guidelines. Yeah, and that's it.
Well, thank you to you and to our Board of Trustees for another, successful budget meeting and getting us set up and ready to start a new fiscal year on April 1st.
Yeah, we spent, putting the budget together has really dominated my time, but I don't do it alone. There's 7 members of the staff, yourself included, who all get into that shared workbook and and put time and effort into assembling our budget. And, you know, we take our job seriously as, you know, along with our board of trustees, we are just temporary stewards for these donations. And we take budgeting very seriously. We put together another solid budget, and it was approved. And now we get to go to work building stronger communities.
Yes, we do. So that gets me to thinking, if our viewers have questions about the budget or what's coming up in fiscal year 2022, we have a take a break coming up next week on the 25th at 10 a.m. Central Time. So if anybody has questions, they'd like to send it to enf@elks.org or comment below. Maybe we can take a deeper dive into some of this next week when we do our take a break.
Yeah, that's on Facebook Live, or just show up on Facebook and ambush us. We'll answer it. We don't duck anything. We might dance a little bit, but we don't duck.
Right.
Okay, well, I think that's it. Other than to say, if you've liked this episode of the Midday Minute, give us a thumbs up. If not, a thumbs down. Maybe you hate the budget news. Maybe you'd like us to spend more than 6.2%.
Thumbs down if you hate the budget news.
Either way, please share this episode far and wide with your social network. If you're not already subscribing to our YouTube channel, consider tapping that button and hit the bell so you'll be notified every time we post new content. Until next time, thanks for watching.
Thanks
Bye,
for
everybody.
watching.